at the crochet slip stitch. And here's a bit of a little fabric that I've done in only slip stitches. So it's very thick and dense because the slip stitch is the shortest stitch of all the basic stitches. And you can see that it gives no height to it. So you don't even need a chain one at the end. There is no turning chain for a slip stitch. And the abbreviation for this is SL space ST. If it's UK terms, it's sometimes revisit SS. And the symbol is either a solid dot or a solid oval when you're looking at a stitch diagram. So let's look at how to crochet a slip stitch. Super, super easy. So I'm not going to chain here because I don't need to. You insert into the stitch or space indicated, which mine's kind of tight because it was all slip stitches. So insert, yarn over, pull it through, and then pull through the next. Now, you'll have to do that in one motion. That's why I had to kind of put it through. So you insert and pull through. So I'm doing that all the way across my rows here for a slip stitch fabric. So that's the basic. That's our first thing to look at. And now let's look at some of the ways the slip stitch is used. A slip stitch is often used to join around. So you'll see that a slip stitch can join things. So this is just single crochet, but if I wasn't working in a spiral, I could join. I have 4 stitches here. I could join with a slip stitch right here in the first stitch. And that would close my round. A slip stitch can also give a wonderful edge to a project. So if you slip stitch at the end of your, so it's a blanket or something like that, you can get a nice finished edge. Now keep in mind that slip stitches pull to the front, so your back won't look the same. I'll show you what the back looks like in just a second. But you can see this is giving a nice finished edge to my little swatch here. So I can give you a finished edge, and the back will just have this little loop on it. But it can give a nice edge to a finished project. Slip stitches are also very useful for stepped decreases, like when you want to just cut over and go back up like an armhole. So let's say I wanted to decrease 3 stitches at the beginning here, and I didn't want to use a decrease where I worked them together. I wanted a very sharp decrease for my armhole. So I could slip stitch in the first few. So let's say I'm going to do 3. And then I would work the rest of it in the stitch pattern that I was working. And you can see that's going to give a stepped look. It can also be used to seam 2 pieces together. So if you don't want to sew, you can do a slip stitch by holding them 2. You would hold them right sides together, and you would slip stitch through both. This does give a little bulk to your seam, but it's not bad. I didn't fasten off my blue there. It's not a bad way to join 2 pieces. Insert through both, underneath both loops, and then just pull it through. There's also a technique called surface slip stitch, which can give definition to intarsia motifs and different things like that. And the way you work that is that you insert your hook into the fabric, and you can pull up a loop from the new color. Now you can do a slip knot and put it here. I don't like to. I don't like to have a knot underneath there. I just go through and weave in my end later. So I have it coming from underneath the fabric. Insert in the next area you want it to go. Yarn over and pull through both. And it leaves this loop on the top of the fabric. So let's say we were just working across this row right here. You can see the loops at the top. So it's a great way to outline things, to make decorations. It just leaves this. So I used it for a tartan plaid blanket that I really like, and that's something that the surface slip stitch was great for that particular project. So here's both sides of a surface slip stitch in the blanket. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial for the slip stitch in crochet. Come visit us at love.life.yarn.com for more than 200 free patterns and lots of other great tutorials. Thanks for watching. See you next time.